Hey, this is Corey, and in this video I'm going to show you my preferred settings for the Yoast plugin in almost every case. Now, this is going to be, again, my preferred settings. It does not mean that these are the only settings you should ever use, and each case may vary, but for most photography sites that I have found, these are the settings that are going to be the most beneficial. Now I'm going to be setting it up on the Fuel Your Photos site. I actually haven't configured Yoast on this site, and out of the box it's actually pretty good, but I'm going to configure this now with the settings that I will normally use on photography sites. So let's go ahead and walk through that. First of all, you can dismiss any notifications here just to get rid of that notification. You can tell it not to give you that notification anymore. That's the one thing that is really kind of annoying about Yoast, is that they do have a lot of they push you a little bit to try to get their other premium services, which in most cases you'll never need. The free plugin is very good by itself. So we'll just kind of go through here. Now there's a lot of things that I don't usually even mess with in Yoast because they are good right out of the box, or they're just not necessary on most sites. So we're going to skip over those for this video. We'll keep it nice and simple. Okay, so in this case, I do want to set in your info that you are a company and set the company name. I'm just going to leave it to Fuel Your Photos. You can decide on an image if you'd like. I'll just go down here and pick, I think I have a logo. You can upload a logo, or, whoa. Your logo shows up a lot there. Let's see. There's one. I'll use this one. Here we go. And then that shows up in a Google card sometimes, so that's why they're putting it here. And then notice you can go through these tabs without clicking save every time. And then we're going to enable the advanced part of the SEO meta box. And we'll save those changes. Okay, so we're going to go to titles and metas. Now in this case, I'm going to actually disable the readability analysis. Now on this, all it's doing is showing you this light here. It'll show you also on the post, and it's telling you things like, hey, you used too many letters in that, or too many words in that sentence, too many letters in all those words, and it's a too high reading level. And honestly, I've found that it's just not that helpful. I've seen plenty of posts that are written very well, and it still gives it a red light, and I'm like, that just isn't accurate. So I just turn it off. The keyword analysis is what we really want. We're going to keep that on. This is where it can get a little bit different based on your site and your needs. Now, I'm not going to actually adjust any of these right now. I'm going to keep the standard title templates and taxonomy, archive options. I'm not going to mess with any of these things. The only thing I will change almost every single time is I want to no index the author archives on a photography site. However, on the Fuel Your Photos site, I'm going to keep the author archive indexed because I plan on making this a multiple author blog here in the next year. So in this case, I actually want it on in almost every case. If you have just one person who writes, you want to no index this because it's just generating pages that are duplicates, because everything is by the same author. So if it's one author, no index that, or even disable it. Disabling it would be fine if you don't want someone to find it. If you're not going to put a link to it anywhere, just go ahead and disable it. You know how it will say on a post like by Corey Potter, if they click on Corey Potter, it will show you all the posts by Corey Potter. If you disable it, that won't happen at all. So either one of those is fine. I'm going to keep date archives. You could disable or no index. It says no index by default. We're going to keep it like that. Again, I am going to leave mine index, but you want to choose no index on this one. Subpages of archives. Now in this case, I will always turn this to no index. Now it's like this right here, page 2, 3, 4, 5. If you have a blog and you get to like the 4th or 5th page of the blog, sometimes those will get indexed in Google. And the problem is, let's say someone types in wedding photographer in Colombia, or they type in a venue name or something like that, and they come up on page 4, which is where that post was, but then I've already added a few more posts and it's no longer on page 4. It's a bad user experience for people to land on a page where the content that they're looking for no longer exists in that location. And for that reason alone, on most photography sites, I recommend going ahead and no indexing the subpages of archives. Most photographers aren't really heavily using archive pages, and they're just cluttering up search results. Not a good experience when you land on them. Keep this disabled. Now, sometimes I will force the no DP. This is not an important setting. If you want to enable it, you can. Basically, this just makes it so that Google doesn't pull a description from DMOZ. It's like, I don't even know if this is even a thing that happens anymore. Some of the webmasters or the Google employees on the Webmaster Hangout kind of laughed at this one time when I saw somebody talking about it. Like, oh, we're not, if we're going to pull it from there, we're going to pull it from there. And like, I doubt that's going to happen anyways. We do much better things than that these days. It's kind of an old thing. Anyway, just leave this like that. We're going to save changes. Remember, that saves it for all those tabs. When you switch to these links, you do need to make sure you save before that. So then we're going to go to social. And it is important to put in any social profiles that you are using. When you do that, and then back on the dashboard, when we say under your info, whenever you chose that you're a business, it's going to add schema markup that says your business name is the same as the one for any of these social profiles. Now, I'm not going to worry about setting all these up right now, but at least do this and save it with all of your social profiles. Here, you can adjust what are the default things to be shared on different social media platforms. If you have something that you want to be the default, I, again, usually don't use these because I use something else to set that, or I always make sure that a featured image is set. You can adjust some other things here, but I'm not going to really mess with that right now. Sitemaps, you want that enabled if you're not using anything else for sitemaps, which I recommend just using the Yoast sitemaps. They're really good, and just make sure you submit that to Google, because Google's going to find this sitemap automatically, but I would recommend submitting it anyways. And we could go into things like, should you include certain things in sitemaps? Honestly, I'm just going to tell you to leave this as it is by default, and Google will do a good job of finding what they need out of that. On a photography site, this is not one of those things that is critical. Go to advanced. We're going to go to permalinks. I'm going to leave breadcrumbs disabled. Under permalinks, I'm going to keep my categories. I'm going to redirect attachment URLs to the parent URL. Now, this is a setting that I choose to do because I am not optimizing every single image attachment perfectly. So in a perfect world, I would say leave this on no redirect, and every image that you upload should get its own title. It should get its own alt text. It should have its own description with unique description for every single image. That's like a paragraph, and you could even set meta descriptions and everything on all of the images. But whenever you're uploading a couple hundred images, every week, that's just not feasible in my opinion. If you have the time to do that and you really want to go for it, leave this on no redirect and make sure you're filling out all of your image descriptions. You should definitely talk to Scott Wyden-Kivowitz about this if you want to know more information about optimizing the heck out of your images. He has some really good information about that. He's part of the Fuel Your Photos group. He also has his own WordPress for photographers group, and would be happy to talk to you about these kinds of things. Again, if you just want the simple answer, I'm going to keep it on redirect, and what's going to happen is it's going to, whenever you attach an image to a post, it's going to redirect that unique page that gets made for that image to the post that it belongs to. For most photographers, this is the best setting. Stop words and slugs. Now, this is set to remove by default, and I want to set this to keep, actually, because I'm not going to go into all the details, but I want to have the ability to choose whether I use a stop word in my slug, in the permalink of the page. That's the URL. Now, I won't always use them, but I want to be able to choose whether or not I want Yoast to delete those for me. Remove the reply to com variables. I'm going to remove those because it prevents, it prevents, that's not what we want to know. What happens is if you have a lot of comments, then it is going to create a new page for each comment. This is basically no indexing, or not allowing new pages to be made for comments. At least as I understand, I'm probably not describing that very well. You can look that up on Yoast. You can actually even click right here, and they have videos and knowledge base for every one of these sections. And when you click on the Help Center, it's going to be the one that you're on. So that's really all that I'm going to worry about here. And that is all that I usually do on Yoast. Again, everything else is pretty good out of the box. And there may be some cases whenever you want to change things around. Please don't take this as this is the exact way you should set up every single site. There are unique cases where some things might be different, but for the most part, for the standard photography website, the settings that I just showed are going to be very beneficial in cleaning up your index and keeping things organized and not getting to the point where you have a lot of things in the Google index that you don't want to be there because you don't actually want people to click on them anyway. And it'll also improve your crawl budget and all that kind of stuff. So if you have questions about the Yoast setup, or if you have a unique case, I would love to hear about it. So, and also if you have other opinions, this is a pretty hot topic, and I know other people have reasons why they change their settings to something different. So if you have opinions about it, please leave a comment. I would love to hear them. You can leave that on YouTube on this video or in Facebook at the Fuel Your Photos Facebook group. All right, I'll be talking to you soon for another video.